Hey there, welcome to the OpenDev Fellowship Call in June 2025. It's the call where we collect all the Polkadot core developers and then we poke them and we figure out what's going on in their respective area of work. And it's always big, but right now it's, for me personally, a very exciting time in Polkadot because so many things are coming together for the hub, for core time, all the other things we hear. Quake on Jam was being presented recently. And yeah, so from time to time, we are also showing up. So right now, this is not yet filled with tea because my tea is still hot, but it's my favorite cup. It's my Kusama cup. And we're going to see today who has the best Polkadot merch. I feel like it is our director of this show, Chicharana, which you might not be seeing on camera right now, but he has the best merch. And yeah, I would say we get started with that. As always, we go by rank. And for Gavin Wood today, he's not on the call. He is traveling right now, but he has sent us a video. And so we're getting ready right now to present it on screen and give you his short message.
Hello guys, I'm traveling this week, so I can't make the call. But quick update, last month I've been almost entirely working on Jam still, and over the basically just doing refactoring of the paper. Over the next coming weeks, the refactoring will continue. Hopefully we're launching 0.7 of the paper quite soon, which really sort of should bring it into its next stage of evolving for practical concerns based on empirical testing. And in particular, I expect time to be taken to be doing the economic augmented metering, which is basically introducing a means of an economic means of getting the metering closer to the actual time taken on physical hardware, which is something that Polkadot already does to some degree, and something that Jam is going to need to do in order for it to be compatible. So this is probably going to take at least a month, maybe a bit longer. So yeah, I will probably get an update on that in a month's time. Cheers.
Yeah, so a quick message from Gavin. Basically, he's working on augmented economic metering and metering the actual time it takes to execute. So let's see what he has to say about that next month. The interesting thing, presenting Quake on Jam, but it was in Prague, I think, recently. We might have an opportunity to ask Jan about this. And so, yeah, let's move on. Next up is rank 6 in the fellowship. Basti. And yeah, curious what you have for us this month.
Yeah, I think last time was like only 3 weeks ago, and not. But yeah, yeah. What I've done, like I had a presentation about CoPlay at forgot the name, Protocol Work last week. So like 2 days of yes, of conference and like some preparation for that. Then there was like these security issue. I don't know. I think it was. I think I didn't spoke about last time, but there was like these there was like a big security issue where everybody needed to upgrade because like there was a bug from 2020 and like you could basically like send one of these small like a one transaction quite cheap and like store the chains. There was like an you could produce a block, but the others were failing to import the block, and like then nodes started to ban each other, and like then you end up in a bad situation where the network is actually stalling, which is not good. Yeah, we fixed that, and like I wrote like a postmortem. I think we posted it last week after we hopefully informed everybody that like we not only needed to inform like the patient, but also like everybody else who's like bidding on like Polkadot SDK substrate or whatever you would call it. Yeah, then I was working on my also on my 500 millisecond blocks. There's like I had some discussion with Sebastian and some other people. Like there are some questions around like some interfaces or like how we want to. It's not that really important, but like it's like yeah, you can make decisions on your own, but like then it's not always the best thing. And like there's a little bit like ambiguity, and I'm also not that happy with my own decision, so I reached out to them, and yeah, I think we still don't reach like an endpoint, but yeah. Otherwise, I think it's going forward. I also got Sebastian and Michal to like review my OpenPR, which like a base for that, and I think both approved, and I only need to like yeah include their feedback, and then can hopefully merge that one, and then like I can hopefully merge like move on to like these last piece and yeah, get something working, hopefully, in a stable way. Yeah, that's it from me. If there are no questions.
All right. Does anyone have a question for Basti? I have a question. When 500 millisecond blocks?
When it's done. No, I mean like it's like as I said, like when I have these pull requests merged, I hope that there's like 1 or 2 pull requests I'm missing, but that's not like nothing critical anymore. Then we can go on and like do some testing and see how it is like behaving in like real world. Maybe also get it like quite fast on some machine or whatever, maybe something like that, and then see how it works. Is it working? Like what are the issues? I mean, there's like still like a tail of like a lot of optimizations you can do in the future. Some things like I already talked about, like we do all these updates. So like every time you like you have this on initialize, on finalize in a block, and that's like if you do that every 6 seconds once, I mean it's fine. But if you do the same operations every 500 milliseconds, it's quite wasteful, and like you should not do that. And maybe it makes more sense that you only do that every 6 seconds or every 12 seconds or whatever. But so these are things which we right now are doing, and but should be changed in the future, because like yeah, you otherwise waste a lot of time, and then you cannot, like if you waste too much time on these inherent block things, then you have less time for your actual transactions or for actual user transactions. So yeah, that's not that great.
It's always interesting how these deconstructions trigger new deconstructions of the whole pipeline, of the whole block protection pipeline.
Yeah. I mean, there are like a lot of it's like probably like every issue, like so the moment you start thinking about it, like it starts exploding in your face, and it's like never ending. Like you know, like optimizations can always be done, and it's like I think it's probably not that important. because but yeah, like on the long game or along the long run, it for sure makes sense to do that.
All right, thank you, Basti. I see a question from Kim.
Yeah, I had a comment on Basti's PR, which I will repeat here. I think it might be informative for others. So what would be like the path for someone to like move to this 500 millisecond blocks? They need a runtime upgrade and a collator upgrades. How would that look like?
Yes, you will need to have a runtime upgrade and a collator upgrade to do that. So like you first need to have the runtime ready for being able to more like the validation code to accept multiple blocks in one POV from the Shayon side. So like that's the runtime upgrade. That's like also like this support is already merged, it's already there, but there's actually like actually I found a bug in the logic that's doing that. And so like if you would have multiple blocks, then you in some situation could run into a block. This bug is getting fixed by my by the other PR that's currently waiting to be merged. Yeah. And then like the idea would be like you first upgrade you first need to upgrade your nodes, and then you would need to upgrade the runtime. Or depending on like if you could also like first upgrade the runtime and like but don't enable like 500 millisecond blocks, and then when you want to enable like your nodes also need to be upgraded. So it depends a little bit on the order.
And did I hear correctly that you said right now we actually do like the non-transaction parts of a block, so on initialize, on finalize, on the mini blocks as well, or we actually don't do them right now?
We do them.
Yeah.
I mean, mini blocks are blocks.
Nasty blocks, yeah.
So like it's like I mean, there's no magic involved or whatever. It's just like you take like, hey, I built a block every 6 seconds, and now I'm building it every 500 milliseconds. So like, and like stuff that comes to my mind is like, for example, the scheduler. The scheduler logic doesn't need to run every 500 milliseconds. It can run every 6 seconds, every 12 seconds, whatever. Like other logic, like Treasury, also doesn't need to check if like its period or whatever changed every 500 milliseconds. And like but these are like they're probably in every like these stuff is like probably in all the palettes, because like before we didn't thought about it, it was like more like, hey, there's this on initialize, it runs every block maybe every 6 seconds. Yeah, so it's fine, I just do it here, but instead of like maybe have it scheduled in a different way or something. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Before this comes to asset up, with respect to staking, I would have to talk to you and look into it as well. There's also a lot of like on initialize operation on staking that definitely doesn't need to happen every 500 millisecond. And when it happens, it's assuming it has access to the full POV, which it doesn't. In this case, it wouldn't have anymore. So
there's like also like these escape hatch actually, which often needs to be integrated, is like that you can actually use the full POV. So like there are other, like maybe for the staking, and like the other use cases, like for example, you want to do runtime upgrade, fitting a runtime upgrade into like 500 milliseconds and like whatever, like 500 kilo, no, I don't know, it's like 2.5 megabytes or whatever, maybe works, maybe doesn't work. So I think it's better that you have the opportunity to open up the road and then just say, okay, if there's like these really important transactions or something like that, I can go to the full POV. It's like instead of building then 4 blocks or like 500 every 500 milliseconds or whatever, you go to full POV mode, do that for once, and then like continue doing like your 500 milliseconds operations. So like there was I don't know, I talked to someone last week at Protocol Berg, and actually maybe it's also fine, because right now I was only thinking about like we should only expose it to like these operational functions or like special functions that can do that. But maybe it would also not again, like not from the start. From the start, I want to only have it for operation, but like it's like maybe a like food for thought, or like something we can think about it, like so that we have exposed this also to users. So like you maybe want to do like a crazy like call 20 contracts and it doesn't fit into 500 milliseconds blocks, but you're fine with like, hey, I'm going to pay for this entire POV and I want to do that operation. If someone pays for it, I mean, like having this done once or whatever, I think, or like even multiple times, I think it's fine. Fine-ish, but yeah, it's more like an idea, not like something I would.
Yeah, I had a question about this. Like, so currently the blocks are just like homogeneous, right? Like just like 6 identical tiny blocks, but it's not like that. The limit of the subsequent blocks, that like the blocks don't get bigger if the first one is like empty, you know. Like if the first one would be empty, we could make the remaining 5 bigger, and then if the next one is also not empty, like the remaining 4 could get even bigger until like a big transaction fits in that you actually want. But yeah, I mean, currently frame, like, you know, we have this like block weight limits and it's just like hard coded. So yeah, I guess if this would be like, you know, more like injectable, then we could make the blocks like subsequently bigger until, you know, like a large transaction fits in. I mean, that would only really like work when the other blocks are empty, not really with a tip or something. Yeah, but I was just like thinking about it, but yeah, I guess it's like a bit different model.
Yeah, I think in general, like I would only do it for the first block of like these multiple blocks you want to include, and it's also like these transactions which are going to do that will need to pay a lot. So like that means like they also get easily put at the top of the queue because like you have like a lot of fees or whatever. So like and then like they go into this first block, and like if they go into this first block, they would then say to the rest, okay, or like the runtime needs to announce to the node, hey, I want like I'm deciding now I will take a full POV and not every 500 milliseconds or something like that. And
okay,
then,
so there could be like a decision about whether to produce 6 blocks or just 1 block, basically.
It's more like 4 blocks. I don't know how you can fix 6 blocks. Doesn't make sense. But either it's like if you have 3 cores, then it's like 4 blocks per core, or you have 12 cores.
Okay, I don't know.
Depending on like exactly. Like I think like it makes sense. Like that's the first block is the one that decides that one. Like either we go on this full 8 mode and to like takes the full POV, or like without it. But yeah, for sure there are also these other optimizations on the long run. Like right now I'm having this that we have like the storage proof size, and you know, like we in between, like we always call and select what's the storage proof size, and like I already implemented support like for this that if you in the first block, for example, read an item and you read the item again in the second block, it doesn't get accounted a second time. It's only like it was already read in the first block, goes into the same POV anyway, so like you don't need to account for it multiple times. So that's like this optimization, optimization from the runtime side, but from the notepad. But the runtime is not really ready for that in the way that what would maybe make sense. Maybe the first block is using like the full POV limit, but it's only like uses like 1 milliseconds of execution. What would maybe make sense, or what would be cool, like that you take like these other 300 milliseconds and give them to the second block, like so that the second block then actually have like 800 milliseconds of execution or something like that. So like. And or the other way around, you use all the execution time, less block time, blah blah blah. So there are like these things that you could do, but yeah, right now every block gets the same, and yeah.
Yeah, okay. And just from my personal understanding, like the relay chain validators, they don't care about this, right? Like we don't need to update them. They don't even notice that this is happening, or?
It's completely opaque for them. They don't.
Okay.
They don't see that. They don't. For them, it's like one single state transition, and like this state transition is then, from the parachain point of view, maybe 4 blocks, and from the relay chain, it's just like one. Yeah, it doesn't see. I mean, for all this data, it's opaque for them for the relay chain.
All right, thank you. super interesting to listen in. Okay, I don't see any more questions, so we move on. And next up is Kian, rank 5 in the fellowship, which would give you a salary of $13,333. And from what I see, you recently got promoted. Is it correct?
Yeah, I think it happened right after the last call.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
So rank 5. How does it feel to be rank 5 in the fellowship?
Same so far, and I can vote on more things. That's more things. I can promote to rank 3 now. So that's I can interview people for that position. That's kind of cool.
So you're going to be much more popular now.
Yes.
All right. So what has been going on for you last month?
Yeah, I think last time when we spoke, we were still in the situation where the West End migration of like Asset Hub migration on West End was like really, really ongoing, and we were like fixing all the loose ends. I think by now it's mostly done. As usual, I would not talk about all aspects of it and let others with more expertise talk about it. But from the staking side, we are finally at the position where we have the full system working. It's not at the scale of like Polkadot and Kusama because West End has only 16 validators. So in terms of testing, we're still relying a lot on like private test nets that we simulate the size of a network similar to Polkadot and Kusama. But the fact that it's so far working on West End, it's pretty good news and gives me and the rest of the people working on this a lot of confidence. I think I uploaded a video to YouTube. It's 20th of May, so it might have been after the last fellowship call. I'll paste it here as well. I've been quite keen on like sharing the information to like rest of the fellowship and generally the public about like how Polkadot staking system is working. And this is a presentation from like a month ago that I did on this system. So I'll share it here, and maybe the rest of you can also help spread this information. I think it would give me the opportunity to be scrutinized for the system. More people can look into this presentation and like ask questions. I think that would be very valuable. And beyond that, I'm busy with the final pieces of what we need to make the system ready for Kusama. And so far, things actually look somewhat surprisingly. Usually things are on fire last minute, or there's a lot of things left to be done. But I would actually say I'm positively surprised. I think when it comes to finishing things for Kusama on the staking front, we're in a good position, and things are looking pretty good. And we're spending some last touches here and there and having some kind of like reflection time to like not code anything, just look at the system, what we have built in the last few months, and review it again ourselves, talking to auditors and these kind of things.
Pretty cool. So when you talk about the next release, like who is packaging up the next release this time?
I think we've given the importance of like doing the fellowship releases in a more timely way to meet like the Asset Hub migration deadline promises. I think we have agreed on like a rotation system for the next subsequent releases. I'm not sure who's going to be responsible for the next one, which would be like for the Kusama AHM. I do know that I'm actually supposed to work on the one afterwards, but I'm not sure who's responsible for that. But we do intend to have like an owner for that, like someone from Parity assigned to like, okay, make sure the fellowship runtimes are upgraded in time and as soon as possible once a Polkadot SDK release happens. Okay, yeah, it's Oliver. He put it in there.
Oliver. Yeah. All right. I mean, we're getting to Oliver next, so I will ask you in a minute, Oliver. All right. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Does anyone have a question for Kian?
I mean, maybe we talked about this last time, but how was the interview for your L5 promotion? Like, how did it go? And what kind of questions did you get and so on?
Yeah, I looked at the requirements on the manifesto one more time and tried to like prepare myself with like all the points. And I kind of proactively described to Gav that I have done this and this and that. And he also emphasized that for the things that I haven't done enough of them, or like I don't know, there was like one point to have for example, public speaking or like public articles beyond Polkadot. He emphasized that, for your first retention, definitely make sure that it's there. But otherwise, I looked at the manifesto and kind of checked that I have everything there.
Interesting. So for rank 5, you have to talk with Gavin. Is it, I guess, for the lower ranks, you also have to talk with the rank 6s, right? If you want to become a rank 4, you will have to talk with rank 6 and 7?
You need to have from rank 3 onwards, you need to have an interview with someone at 2+.
Mm-hmm.
So for rank 5, it would be only Gavin.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right. Thanks for sharing. Good. Then let's move on. Next up is... Oh, I see there is a question from Daniel.
Yeah. Hello, Kian. Maybe I missed that, but I just remembered about the migration of the balances to Asset Hub. So the question is about XEM. Should we move the reserve location of the DOT currency on the parachains? Is that correct? And what the location would be if it changes? So I didn't see that in the documents, and so that's my question.
I think the reserve location would be Asset Hub going forward, but maybe if Cisco or Oliver have more to say about it, I'll hand it over to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the reserve will be Asset Hub, but the ID will still be the same, right? The ID will still be the relay chain.
Aha, so the XCM identification won't change. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Won't change or will change?
Will not.
Will not. All right. Good.
So the identification won't change, the reserve will, just for the record.
All right. Okay, then let's move on. So next up is Oliver, rank 3 in the fellowship with a salary of $6,666. And it looks like it is active, right? Okay. Hey, Oliver.
Yeah. Hi. Thanks. Yeah, exactly. So I'm working mainly on Asset Hub migration. Yeah, as Kian said, like we're done on West End, and the next thing will be Kusama. So we're working with the Paseo. I mean, we're working with the Paseo people. Yeah, in order to do that, we first update like the Polkadot runtime, because then we have like a script to mirror that for the Paseo runtimes. Yeah, so we kind of have to do the production runtimes first, and then we just mirror it. So that should help us to test the exact production runtimes. Yeah. But so currently I'm still like in the process of finishing the cleanup of West End so that we have merged everything back into the SDK. And then we can port our changes from the SDK to the runtimes repo. And yeah, then, I mean, hopefully we can do Paseo soon. And then we can do Kusama and then Polkadot. Yeah, the timeline is in the forum. Yeah, but I think it was like August for Kusama and then September, mid-September for Polkadot, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, if you want to check that, like better check the dates in the doc. August 15th for Kusama. Yeah, okay, so Kian says August 15th for Kusama. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big project. Otherwise, like currently I'm doing the 1.6 release, so that, I mean, we hope we can publish the runtimes today. So we did like the weight updates for the last 2 days, because it is like the benchmarks are very slow. And now there's like another kind of thing, like some CI check that's red because some contracts, fixtures, whatever doesn't compile. I mean, I will just like force merge this or whatever. And then like, so hopefully we will have runtime release 1.6 out today with the 2503 SDK. And yeah, then we can propose it for Kusama. And then there's just like the Kusama referendum until contracts are on chain. Yeah, and I think that will be big. Yeah, that's so from my work so far. Otherwise, I have like one more topic. That's maybe, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's like more apparent when, in the beer market. But so I've received one internal question about like fellowship salary. And since we're like getting like a lot of people getting paid by parity. So it's like, I mean, Gav is not here, so you would probably have an opinion on this. But what's your take on this? That like there can be like a conflict of interest that the treasury pays us for like basically being loyal to Polkadot, and parity kind of pays us to be loyal to them, or some other employee. It doesn't have to be parity. Yeah, I mean, so far I've been claiming my salary, but like as I was in Berlin like last week, someone kind of brought this up, and I was like, yeah, we kind of have to figure this out unless it kind of can bring a bad light upon us or something. Yeah. So do you have any opinion on this?
Spicy topic, I would say, but I mean, like I would also argue that like parity is not also aligned to Polkadot. It's like, I mean, there's like the question of what's like, or like there was always the question of what is the purpose of parity, and like there was like it was like over like a lot of time was like the purpose of parity was like to make Polkadot a success, and like can be discussed for sure, but yeah, I don't see that much of like a for sure like there's some conflicts of interest, and like how you see stuff going on, like maybe some people would want to have different things, but yeah. In general, I think there's no real conflict of interest. It's not like parity is starting to work on Solana or whatever, and like when you think, oh, what to do, Solana or Polkadot? So like, I don't know.
I see. Yeah, maybe Kian first, then I have some follow-up questions.
Yeah, I actually raised this also with Gavin in the interview in the interview I had with him. I don't, maybe some of you would also remember, I also started with the fellowship of not claiming, and then I went to part-time, and then eventually I kind of convinced myself that, okay, let's claim this. I don't think there's a conflict of interest. So because exactly as Basti said, because parity and Polkadot are aligned. But I do wish there would be like more agreement between like parity and the Polkadot DAO on that. Okay, there are these individuals, especially on like higher ranks, where they have more responsibility toward like in the fellowship, potentially because of their knowledge and their higher rank, and their division of work, sort of their mission statement would be a bit clearer. And this is something that is not there in place. I think the way I see it is that what like the fellowship is paying individuals kind of like just on the basis of like having the knowledge, and some of us who are working on parity are mostly prioritizing the objectives that is parity setting for us. Again, this is by and large aligned with Polkadot, but I personally hope there would be like more division, as in like, okay, if you're rank 3 or more, you actually get 1 day per week to do completely like whatever the fellowship wants you to do, not parity wants you to do. But yeah, it's also a complicated topic, and I've tried with both Gav and Pierre to bring it to clarity, but at some point I gave up.
So I think when you talk about conflict of interest, it's what interests are there. So if you look, and then you have to ask, there is the fellowship and there is the Polkadot DAO, which is paying the fellowship. So as this one example that we keep discussing, there is optimistic project funding, which has been expressed as a wish by the DAO exactly 1 year ago, a year and a few days. And it has been moving very slow, right? And then basically the initiators of that initiative, they had to find someone from the PDA to do it, and then it gets reviewed by fellowship members, but there has not been any active initiative. And I think this is one of those examples.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would have moved faster if again, if like this if some of us had more like time for review, I think it would have moved faster. We did discuss it also about a year ago, though, as well, that if something passes wish for change, it shouldn't be like now, I don't know, the fellowship has to jump on it. And I kind of get that argument as well in terms of implementation, because then there could be multiple things, like it's kind of like a slippery slope. But purely from a review perspective, I actually think this is an example that I can agree it would have moved along faster.
Yeah, Yeah, so how I see it is that the fellowship is like a QA, organ basically. So it's there to like do quality control for the runtimes and the node. It's not really there to actually develop code. Like it also doing that, but like at least for me personally, I see it mostly as reviewing and approving the stuff that goes into the runtime, but that could be developed by anyone basically. Yeah, but I mean in this case, I don't have a specific opinion on this OPF honestly. But yeah, if the bottleneck was review, then that's of course not so good. Yeah.
I think I don't want to step on anyone's toes here, but I mean it's not. I think it was not only reviewing. It's I forgot his name. I'm so sorry if you're seeing that. I forget your name again. But the guy who was working on it. I mean like he was like I think still junior or whatever, and like it. I think main problem was that like what would have made it much better is like we sat down at the beginning and laid out like a proper like made a design document how it should be, and then like give it to him. Like we partially tried that, but we didn't really have done it to the end, and I think that's like what failed. It's not like because like he was then pushing stuff and and he didn't have that much knowledge about frame and all these kind of things. So like that, I think that was like for me the main blocker here. And like yeah, for sure we could have played a better role in that. And yeah, but yeah, I also agree that it's not like it's not only about like the implementation and but there are also things like I mean like a lot of people see that there's this like fellowship treasury, and I mean like could have been argued maybe like the guy gets like could or like someone could have applied for like some money from this fellowship treasury or something like that, and that helps in developing like something like that.
Yeah. So like Tommy or Jay, do you have any like thoughts about the community? Is how the community is perceiving the situation, or what's their like sentiment, or is it like are we perceived as grifters, or like I just wanna know?
I thought.
Yeah, I would agree. There is a lot of respect for the fellowship, and it's clear that the role is to develop the core Polkadot technology and runtime. But I think Polkadot is like right now it's a lot of things, right? It's the core protocol, and then it's also the system chains and the operating system, and then the DAO on top, and it's all being taken care of. And it's actually you're wearing multiple hats, and yeah. I mean, there was a request for 2 million DOT, which has been, and I think there were like 50,000 DOT spent so far. So there's actually a budget to get things done also. And I think the discussion sometimes that you see sometimes is how much level of project management is happening within the fellowship versus how it is expressed in the manifesto of individuals picking their work and then working on that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, resetting expectations would be helpful, I think. Yeah, I mean, of course, if we are just like doing QA, it's like over expensive, as Jay said.
I mean, it's not only QA. It's also like, I mean, like if you read the manifesto, it's like about like retaining knowledge about Polkadot, and it's like what the idea is of the fellowship. Like so, like someone has actually an idea how the thing is working and not like, and they get paid for it, so they stay on top of it. And like, you also need to always prove these things that you're staying on top, doing your part of the work and all the things. I mean, like, I think if you're like afraid of like the like I for example need to go every 6 months to OpenDev and actually get like approval. Like, I think if you're afraid of like maybe not, everyone can do the same. Like, if someone said like, hey, I'm not sure like if these guys are doing the this, or like what they decide on is like the best thing, and I want to know what like the public is thinking. Everyone can go to the public and ask them, and like the public also can approve you, or like the public can also just say nay, and then like it's over. But I get like so the fellowship is not like it's like at least the initial idea, what is not like a programmer shop, or like a shop of developers that just do whatever like the DAO wants to do. Not wanting to say like that some things can improve, and like the fellowship can help on the thing, but like, yeah, it's also like their wish of change can be for a lot of things. That then it doesn't mean like that we are maybe like the best people. Like a wish of change should be like something added to the Polkadot app. And I mean, like, I think most of us are like way too deep in the specs that they know how to write like a proper UI UX based application. So
yeah, I mean, I think the disconnect here is that people see us, we are developing stuff, and for Polkadot obviously, but then they don't understand why we work on these things that we work instead of the stuff that's like wish for change and so on. Like, I mean, to me, it kind of seems to make sense. There's like developers here and there's like issues here. Like, why don't the developers pick up the issues? They instead work on other stuff. So maybe that's like why it's like confusing to onlookers. Yeah.
I also think maybe like for more junior people or whatever, I think it maybe makes sense that they just go with these issues and like also like get some kind of reputation based on this stuff and use it. I think it's a good opportunity, and especially like if you're then in the fellowship and you want to do that and like you want to drive this thing forward, like also like maybe you're only getting like your rank 2 or rank, like you're getting not that much salary, then you could also maybe go to the fellowship treasury and say, hey, I want to do this thing, implement it, blah blah blah. Would you be open to fund the thing? Because like that's what, for example, the DAO wanted from me, or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I also don't say that I wouldn't want to do that or whatever, but it's like, yeah, I think so. Also, the higher you go up in rank is like also like the more things are like exploding and like the more things are coming in front of you. So like, yeah, I would also have loved to get this open project funding being done much earlier, but yeah, sadly, like my Tommy's coming every week and asking what is 500 millisecond block, 500 millisecond block, 500 millisecond blocks are doing. So like, it's like, yeah, I cannot tell him, hey, yeah, I was doing this other thing here, but that like you need to decide on what you. It's in the end, it's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah. Ian, did you have something? Last word?
Yeah, I mean, a quick word that also came to mind about like how Oliver described as QA. I think it's also though fair to say that what a lot of us do might not seem as like immediately like delivering the things that would have end user impact. But I think it shouldn't be underestimated that it also takes a lot of time from a lot of like expert people to kind of like keep the system going, regular maintenance. So a little bit like elaborating on what the QA aspect is. I think that when I look at like where my time goes within the month, I see that there's a lot of that as well. So I think that's also something else that we are doing, and it might be hard like for token holders or like people from afar to see it immediately, but it does take a lot of time.
I would say it is definitely seen because the releases you're putting out is the actual work that is in the runtime, and I think that is definitely seen, right? So the discussion we're having is something that is on the mind of some people, but it doesn't take away from the contributions you're all doing. All right, Oliver, before we close down on you, I have a question for you. So I hear you're currently wrapping up the 1.6 release. Is it the one with elastic scaling?
I'm honestly not sure. Let me check.
Elastic scaling came last time, but some bits of like Andre and Robert will kill me for that. But I mean, it's kind of working. There's like a small thing that needs to be enabled to make it ultra secure, if you want to say it that way. But you can already use it on. But like I think it still requires one runtime upgrade, one node upgrade, and as far as I know, like we're currently like we're waiting or give like people like Mythical a little bit of no release time, so like hopefully no interruptions because of something breaks or whatever.
Okay,
yeah. So that will also apply to the runtime upgrade. The runtime upgrade will not be applied until I think until beginning of July or something like that. At least like maybe on the core time chain because of our lovely core time baron, it will go earlier there, but that shouldn't break anything that, for example, Mythical right now is doing. But yeah.
The current arch enemy of the Fellowship.
Yes.
All right.
Any takes on who it is, or any alpha on who it is? I mean, there was one very sus person in Berlin, but otherwise, any guesses? Or
if you, I don't know. Good. So one more runtime upgrade, and then we get our feature toggle. Very good. Very good. Okay, looking forward to it. I heard this thing that Polkadot 2.0, the last thing that is missing for Polkadot 2.0 is elastic scaling. So for whoever is wrapping up the release, this could be a hint. Or we just redefine it and say Hub is also part of that. All right. Okay. Let's move on. And next up is Jan Bujak, rank 3 in the Fellowship, not claiming any salary, but dropping Quake on Jam, basically redefining first-person shooters for the 21st century. And on the side is also developing PokerVM. So quite an impressive portfolio. Welcome, Jan.
Yes, hi. Yeah, so the Quake work I was doing that quite a while ago, but it finally got on chain. Like, it's not all just me. Like, I ported Quake, but like there are many other people who also help out. So yeah, I need to give credit where credit is due. Like, Ivan did a lot of work getting it actually on chain. So a lot of this credit also goes to him. If anyone has any cool ideas for new demos, I'm all ears, and maybe we can get some more stuff going on chain. Which is like the cool part of Jam, that you can actually run normal software on it, and it actually runs, right? Anyway, so lately I was doing more work on the gas cost model, and I finally finished the worst case secure gas cost model. Essentially, if you're interested in this, I can recommend watching Gav's talk at Protocolberg, because like I think half of it at least was about this work. He was talking about gas cost model. So once that is uploaded, I can recommend you to watch it. It's quite interesting. So that's mostly the major thing I was working on, and yeah, some more minor bits and bobs. And that's mostly it.
Thank you, Jan. Does anyone have a question for Jan? No, that is not the case. I guess for Quake we also have a demo, and it's not something where you put someone with a keyboard and a mouse and then the server does things. It's not that like that, right?
Well, the on-chain version, yeah, it essentially runs like a demo, right? I mean, in theory, you could play it, but it's a blockchain, so there would be some delay. So for a game that is actually playable, you would need maybe not an FPS, right? But I'm sure you could think of like some games that, like turn-based games, or like single player top-down RPGs or something that you could actually play on chain, right? But offline you could run Quake on PVM at full speed and actually play it. So that's actually doable. Yeah.
I like Bast's suggestion of Polkadot plays Pokemon, but I'm gonna hand the word over to Kian to ask a question.
Yeah, I had a question about like the metering part. Specifically, like I watched Gav's talk on Protocol Berg exactly until the point where he went into like a separate presentation on metering. And it seemed like a new concept. So if you're familiar with it, I was wondering if you can give us like a short TLDR of what it was about. I think it was called like subjective something metering.
Yeah. Well, I did all of the benchmarking for the numbers he presented. So like the whole PVM versus EVM and those numbers, I gathered those numbers and wrote all that code. So yeah, so essentially the thing is that when you're gas metering, right, we have a piece of code and we want to run it, and we want to essentially make sure that it takes a bounded amount of time, right? So we need to estimate this, and this is essentially the gas cost model. But the issue here is that it's really hard to actually model this because modern CPUs use a lot of tricks to make your code go really, really fast. But the issue here is that those tricks are essentially average case tricks, which means that if you have like a malicious actor, you can quite easily write code which makes those tricks not work, right? And then the code runs really, really slowly. So for secure gas metering, which is gas metering that doesn't allow anyone to denial of service attack your chain, you need to essentially assume the worst case. But in reality, most of the code will actually run with the average case costs, right? So how could we like essentially have our cake and eat it too, right? And that's where this idea of like subjective metering comes into play, which is essentially we will do the worst case objective metering, and at the same time we will also do subjective wall clock based metering, and there will be some sort of like a consensus among the validators. And essentially, if you want to run your code on chain, right, you can stake your funds and say, hey, my code runs with the average case costs, right, not with the worst case, and here's my money to prove this, right? And then if that ends up not being true, then they will get slashed. So essentially that's the idea, right?
Okay, thanks for the explanation. So it's a bit in the direction of like oracleizing the time it takes to, not oracleizing, but adding some stake to it.
Yeah. I mean, as Gav said, part of this is already like live on Polkadot, because we sort of do this with like a little bit with PVFs and stuff. So essentially we will port this to Jam and we'll claw back this overestimation when it comes to the worst case gas cost model. Yeah, but even with the worst case gas cost model, we are still much faster than like EVM, for example. So yeah, but we are not satisfied with just being faster than EVM, right? We want to go pedal to the metal. Yeah.
All right, I think all questions so far are answered. We are covering quite some territory today. Okay, I don't see any more questions coming in. I also don't have any. So thank you, Jan. And we're moving on. Next up is rank 2, Shayon, with a salary of $1,666. Hi, Shayon.
Is there any way I can like claim all of my unclaimed salaries, or is that all just gone?
You will have to write the code for that, I assume.
Oh man, that's too bad. All right, guys, great to be here. Following up on our last discussion on the call for BLSP fee, I got in contact with the Web3 Foundation researchers and developers, and I was made to understand that actually this work is still in progress, so I don't have to do anything. That's good for me. The last I heard was that they were waiting for an RFC to be passed, even though the code has already been merged. So just kind of following up here to see if anyone's taking a look at this RFC. From what I understand, like all the code that's necessary for BLSP fee is already in Substrate, and it's just waiting for a proposal or runtime upgrade to activate all the necessary subsystems.
So that's RFC 147 with the beautiful title of Security Amendment to 0048 Ownership Proof. Nothing? How can we find the person that is working on this?
I was expecting to see, I think his name is Syed, the person behind this RFC on this call. Apparently he's not here. I don't think also he's a fellowship member anyways. But yeah, if he's not on here, then I'm not sure who else is supposed to be responsible for this.
Do we know, is that someone from Parity or someone else?
It's Sayed. He was here a few times. He has like a hat, and sometimes the cat walks around. Don't know if you remember him.
We have lots of cats on this call.
Right. No, he's not here today.
All right, that's fine. I guess we will probably catch him at the next call. But just reiterating that Hyperbridge basically depends on this upgrade passing hopefully soon, as this will allow us to decentralize our consensus prover and make it fully permissionless for anyone to relay Polkadot's consensus to any network. And of course, create this like permissionless protocol that can now be relied on by not just everyone, but also institutions and potential other ecosystem L1s. So I would say this is one of the most important features that Polkadot can ship today that will have some positive impact. Snowbridge probably also depends on this as well. Of course, I don't know if they are trying to push this as well, but I would say it's also very important for them.
But if you already talked to the Web3 people, then why not talk to Syed directly? Because like he's Web3, and like yeah.
Well, I spoke to him, and he said he's just waiting for this RFC to be approved. So I guess that actually falls under the jurisdiction of the fellowships. If anyone
everything is prepared. Like I think everything else is finished, because like I have never seen like any test network, anything that was using this BLS stuff. And like,
sorry, say again.
I have never seen any test network, nothing trying to use this kind of code. I mean, they're like unit tests probably, but not. I don't know if I like there doesn't like. I don't think there exists like an upgrade path, like there exists anything for that. So it's not like we can approve the RFC, but I mean, like it's not like just approving RFC and this will solve any kind of issues. I think last time what we agreed, or like what we proposed, was like a little bit like, wasn't it like that you maybe do like a proposal and like fellowship treasury would pay for that? I think that was like kind of what we had last time. And I think that it's like, if you want to push for it, I think that's still the best thing. Like we pay for this, and like you do that. But I think otherwise it's not gonna, like, yeah, it's hard. But yeah, I don't think that like we can do the RFC, but I don't think that like the RFC is the only thing that's missing. Maybe
You don't think we can do the RFC?
No, we can do the RFC. That's not the point. I think like I don't think that like only the RFC is like what is holding us back here. Like we can approve the RFC, but just by approving the RFC, like it will not automatically get like start doing like beefy BLS or whatever. Because like you first need to, like, someone needs to implement it, or someone needs to do something for that.
Right. So
especially like the FC is like something, an amendment to an FC for myself, where like this code is not active right now. So like, and there's a pull request open for that. So that's not required or whatever. So
all right, fair. Like I said, what I heard was that actually there's effort that's being done to push things forward. That's why this RFC is actually not that very old. It's like 3 weeks ago. So there's still active work being done. So I don't have to do anything. But if you're saying that like there's no one doing anything, then I need to really
so the point is I don't know who's doing what. But the point I just say, like, this RFC is not what is required for beefy BLS, because like this RFC is just about like proof of possession, and like that's like that will be required, that we enable like some other thing, but that is like kind of orthogonal to what you want to have, at least from my point of view. And the point is also like we need to have like an upgrade part, like everyone needs to upgrade, and like then you need to like the entire validator set needs upgrades. They need to start using BLS and not like ECDSA and all these kind of things. Like all the stuff needs to be done, and it's not like it's not like something that can just be done overnight and we just turn on a switch and it's going to happen. And there I doubt that like this thing was being taken care of, because like maybe that we like Said and everybody like say prepared and check that everything is possible, and like I know that we have like some BLS codes there already, but this is like the easy part. And the more complicated part is then like changing the engine while you're running and blah blah blah. And
I get the impression that information was relevant for Shayon. Shayon, do you have a path forward? Do you know who to talk to next?
I will just follow up with the Web3 Foundation guys, Syed and Andrew, who I know are actively working on this, but I think it would be very useful to maybe have a working group for BLS Beefy, just so that like we have more relevant updates for stakeholders of the network that require this, right? What I heard from them was that everything's actually done. Actually, they just needed to propose a call to activate all the necessary like subsystems. But yeah, I definitely have to follow up with them, and we'll maybe spin out a working group.
Yeah. Maybe I'm incorrect that all of that stuff is done, but I have no. So I have actually no real idea how this upgrade path is going to work. And like maybe it's totally easy and you just activate it, or it's not that easy. I have no idea. So yeah.
Okay, let's get to Oliver and then hopefully wrap this up.
Just one question, like you need new host functions, or what's this all about? Like, I don't quite get it.
So this is not relating to host functions. This is related to BLS signatures over Beefy commitments. There's some work that Syed did recently that allows validators to produce 2 independent signatures over Beefy commitments, both ECDSA using SecP and the BLS over 12381. So, and I've seen this code because I follow all the PRs that go into a Polkadot SDK. So I've seen all this stuff go in. Like I said, last I spoke to them, they're waiting for this RFC to be approved, and then they can make the necessary next steps. So I thought it would be useful to just bring this up with the fellowship and ultimately see if we can get this RFC approved.
Yeah, I mean, then you may probably have to talk to the node team next how to integrate that or activate or whatever, right?
For sure. I'll definitely also bring it up with the consensus team as well.
Yeah, I think like the best is like talk to Said and get like a real understanding of what is missing, and then we can talk about it. As I said, like the LC is for sure not missing, because like it's about functionality that's not enabled yet, so it's not merged yet, and it's so like all of the stuff is not really required to make BLS a reality.
All good. I'll follow up. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Shayon. This seems to be everyone for rank 2, and then we move on to next up is rank 1 in the fellowship. Vetomir Dimitrov. How correct did I say this?
Exactly, you said it perfectly. But I'm supposed to be rank 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Rank 2. Okay.
Yes.
My apologies.
No
apologies.
worries,
so
no worries at all. Not that important. Okay, so last month I was working on performance changes on the disputes handling. We want to speed up the things there a little bit. This is related to the Kusama store we had around a month ago. So we have got a few good leads. I was implementing one of them, particularly caching some key lookups, which were taking quite a lot of time. And yeah, that's all, more or less.
All right. Straight and short. Does anyone have a question? No. All right. Then we move on. Is anyone else from rank 2 here?
Yes.
All right, Sebastian and someone unknown. Okay, so then Sebastian, let's start with you.
Yes. So I was finalizing the work that I had reported last time, like the building on older relay parents on the parachains in order to eliminate forks. And yeah, there were, as always, some comments on the PR. So I was polishing this a bit, testing around. And it's going to be in the next release now, where the branch is already cut off. And yeah, basically everyone who wants to use it can use it. There is a guide included with the PR that says how to use this feature and how to enable it and how to configure your runtime. And it's basically nothing really spectacular. It's the same as always, like you need to have the latest node and then you can upgrade your runtime. Some config changes there and then you are ready to go. So this will very likely reduce all the forks at the cost of a bit higher XCM message latency. So the runtime, while working on this, I noticed that like the parachain runtime is a bit convoluted with config items at this point. Maybe at some point we need to do some cleanups there. And also in the last month, I was working a lot on reviews. Like I reviewed Basti's 500 millisecond block stuff, and also a lot of transaction pool topics. And this is also something I can say here because I think Michael is not here. The transaction pool will be the default in the next release. Like there will be the 2506 release, which will not have it as the default. But then on the first patch release, we plan to enable it. This is just some security measure basically, so that if there is something going wrong by introducing the new transaction pool, we will know it because it will come in this extra patch release and not with all the other changes together. Yeah, I think that's it.
Sounds good. So you reviewed Basti's code. What do you think? Like, what's the code quality of Basti's code?
Medium.
Okay. So I guess we're bullish on 500 millisecond flux coming soon.
Of course. Super bullish. Super bullish. Next week.
If it's not we just backported. All right. Okay. Moving on. Does anyone have a question for Sebastian? I don't see any questions. So we're moving on to someone unknown who recently let us in on his secret mission, but we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about something different. So someone unknown, welcome.
Yeah, we will not talk about that. First of all, of course, as well as Vetomir and Sebastian, I'm celebrating promotion to rank 2. It's a good start, like 7 ranks to go. I'm planning to be at rank 9 before 2040. So yeah, other than that, no major updates from my side. I'm working on the implementation of the RFC4, which I mentioned in the previous meetings. It was, by the way, renumbered to RFC145 because of a purely technical issue. And that work takes quite some time and effort. There are a lot of interesting challenges, and Jan is helping me to brainstorm that stuff when I get stuck. Thanks to him a lot. But basically, I'm just working the work. So yeah, and when I get some interesting results, I hope to share them at one of the following meetings. But for now, that is it.
Got it. So you said RFC4, right?
RFC4, which has been renamed to RFC145.
I see. All right. Got it. Good. Thank you. Does someone have a question for someone unknown? That is not the case. Then we are moving on to rank 1s. And no rank 2s left. Okay. So then next up is Pablo, rank 1, with a salary of $833.
Correct. So basically, not too much on the actual code action. I've been working in the last month on designing something that I'll probably be publishing in the upcoming days, which is basically enabling improvements on the consideration trait. I found out there's this consideration trait that basically allows pallets for handling deposits for storage. I noticed that it's not being widely used. It's been used in a couple of pallets already, most notably Scheduler pallet, but it's not everywhere. And I think that being on more pallets that use deposits, it's not just good because it standardizes the process of handling the deposits, but also it enables for streamlining the way the deposits are done. As of now, many of them still use this currency log reservable, and some of them uses the fungibles hold, and that's something I'm trying to standardize with this process. Also try to make the trade more ergonomic so it can be easier to use by newer pallets. And there's a secret ingredient in this proposal, but that's to be unveiled in the publishing. And yeah, that's the first thing. Also, I'm reviewing the case for the for migrating the Scheduler palette to be to use the elastic the agile the agile core. As of now, the Scheduler palette waits that the number of the block that it's provided to increase monotonically and one by one. And that's kind of a problem because of some chains, of some product chains might not be wanted to have constant production of blocks, but still want to have some processes that might be using the shuttle. And for that, we might be using the relay chain block number. but well, currently that is not the case because we definitely don't have some problems when Agile is used on instead of synchronous backing of production blocks. And well, basically, I'm trying to see what's the best way to do that. There are two proposals for now. One is an issue and one is an active proposal to make a slight change on the actual palette scheduler. I asked if that was a good approach, but I was told it's not the best approach. So I'm trying to find if there's a better approach to do so. And that's my second task. My third task as of now, I'm trying to introduce a couple of PBA alumni to the fellowship. They're interested in getting in, and we're tackling on the task of migrating these palettes that use the old currency trade to use the fungible trade, which is the way to go. So basically, those are my three tasks so far. And side note, I'm waiting for the promotion to rank 2 as we're speaking.
Not even rank 2 and already onboarding all the new folks to the fellowship. This is what I like. Very good, very good. Yeah, pretty cool to follow your journey. Is there any questions for Pablo? That is not the case. Then thank you, Pablo. And we move on. Next up is Daniel Shiposa, rank 1 in the fellowship with $833. Hi, Daniel.
Yeah, hello everyone. So I believe XCM NFT stuff is going to be completed soon. The granular NFT trades are merged, and the corresponding PR with the new XCM adapters, which use the granular trades, is ready. And received reviews from NFT experts, including Yegor Sidorenko. It's the author of Palette NFTs. Also, Brian from Akala approved this PR. So I'm waiting for Adrian's and Cisco's reviews. Adrian is out of office right now, but I hope that we will deal with this PR next week. So I'll post the link to the PR in the chat. I also looked at the XCM version 6 PR draft by Brian. I plan to add some tests. But I also believe we could make the PR simpler. I'm discussing this with Brian in Matrix now. Well, we'll see. Anyway, it would be great to finalize this PR. So this is about the current status. Yeah, I have a question again about Asset Hub and the reserve locations. So if the reserve location moves and the XCM identification of dot stays the same, it means that parachains should modify their XCM executor configs, in particular the isReserve setting. So I'm wondering what happens in the migration period, when today relay chain is actually the reserve location and tomorrow Asset Hub is the reserve location. How can we maintain the continuity of service? I mean, should the parachains trust both relay and the Asset Hub to deposit dot? So I mean to execute the reserve asset deposited instruction. So how will that work? Is there any guideline for parachains?
So if I understand correctly, the question is what happens if the reserve location of an asset changes from one chain to another?
Yes. I mean, it requires changing the XCM executor config. It is required for that. Requires the runtime upgrade, and parachains have different procedures for that. Some have democracy palette or referenda palette or other stuff, not just pseudocode. So it would be lengthy process for many parachains. So how can we, the reserve location has changed, and parachains they should adapt to that change. So is there any guideline for that? Because if Asset Hub just deposits the dot, sends the XCM instruction, a reserve asset deposited, parachain should have a correct setting to actually allow Asset Hub to execute that instruction. Well, I believe Cisco understands me what I'm trying to say.
Cisco, go ahead.
Yeah, so the idea is that parachains do change, and they do have to change their isReserve configuration item. They can change it beforehand, as you mentioned. They can trust both the relay and the Asset Hub. There should be no problem with that, because after the migration, before the migration, they might get everything from the relay chain. After the migration, they should get everything from Asset Hub. They would trust both anyway. I wrote a guide a while ago that I'm sharing in the chat. It's HackMD with some examples of chains that already trust Asset Hub. So this can be done before the migration, and also how to change your parachain to support this and how to test it. I have some scripts there. This was also posted in the forum post regarding the Asset Hub migration on the Polkadot forum. And there should be, and then when we do the migration, we will move all the funds from the sovereign account of the relay chain, like parachain X's sovereign account on the relay chain. We will move all of those funds to the Asset Hub's sovereign account. The sovereign account and on Asset Hub, so that all transfers can go through. So before the migration, everything should work. After the migration, should work the same way, but send routing stuff via Asset Hub and not the relay. Chains do need to change this setting, but they can do so even before we do the migration.
Okay, great, thank you. So yeah, I have the last thing to say. I'd like also to discuss the app's stability a bit. Recently, I proposed an RFC draft about this in the Matrix discussion in the Fellowship's public chat. Let me share it here in the chat. In this document, I mentioned some procedures for Polkadot SDK maintainers on how to communicate changes to the app developers. However, I was told that such an RFC is out of Fellowship's scope, since the document is not technical, And I'm inclined to agree with that, since formally such an RFC doesn't conform to the manifesto. Yet I think some ecosystem level document about the guidelines or recommendations or even rules on how to maintain the app's reliability and facilitate proper communication between chain developers and the app developers is crucial for the ecosystem. It's not only about the development, it's also about the ecosystem image and overall clarity of how to act in it and what to expect. I'm not pushing any particular document text. I'm just suggesting that some clear text is needed about that. Maybe it could be an RFC or something else. I don't know. Maybe someone has some ideas. I'm just suggesting that. So that's all I wanted to say.
I remember there was an initiative to create a Polkadot tooling collective. I haven't read that document, but it sounds like something that might go there. I don't know if Oliver knows where the tooling collective is at this point.
Yeah, so from a personal side, I didn't have more time to work on that, so it's currently on pause. Yeah, but just that you shared, it's like more about like communicating breaking changes of runtime releases, or I guess, yeah, okay. Yeah, is it like just for XCM or general for storage reading and all these kinds of things?
It's about overall the app stability, not only about XCM.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay. So I acknowledge this as an issue, and it's like just to explain how we normally get there. There's like a lot of developers pushing stuff in the SDK, and then we wrap that in a release, and then we push it to the fellowship, and then nobody. I mean, we kind of know what's in there because it's in a change log, but it's not like we can, not like a single person could easily say, okay, this will break this stuff, because they were not even the person like developing it. So it's like, yeah, I mean, we try to kind of improve the change log also to have like breaking changes in there. That's like that they get bubbled up from the SDK level basically. But yeah, so far, I mean, we need more automation for this, and we don't have like a person doing that currently. So, I mean, it's just not feasible to write the changelog manually to then figure out if a DApp breaks. We need to automate this more. Yeah, but it's a good point to have like this perspective from a DApp developer things. Yeah, I mean, most people that work on the stuff, they don't really do apps themselves. So, they kind of know what they change, but they don't really know how it breaks for the developer. So it's good to have the other perspective.
All right. I see no more questions or discussion points. I have to say this is the call with the most diverse set of just like very deep conversations going on. All right, I don't see any discussion points, so we're moving on. And next up is rank 1 in the fellowship, Alain Bransikova, with a salary of $833.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I don't have a straight update, but my colleague Chris, he supplied a PR which aims to use XCM for the encounter chain to actually let communities manage their community treasuries on acetone. So the idea is that the democratic governance on Encounter can spend money from a treasury account for that community which resides on acetone. So that PR has been lying around quite a while. Chris is now very actively working on that again, and it would be great if this gets a nice review, because the feature is quite impactful for our communities, especially because we could use stablecoins, which is interesting for the communities. But that's actually all from my side. Other than that, I'm just debugging XCM stuff, experimenting with XCM v5, and struggling quite a bit, to be honest.
All right, thanks, Alain. Does anyone have a question? That is not the case. Then I say thank you. And that was everyone in the fellowship. So if no one has any, if anyone has any topics left to discuss, now is your time to raise it. Oh, George.
Yeah.
My mistake. I missed you. Do I miss anyone else? Just you, George. Okay, then I apologize, George. And you're rank 1 in the fellowship, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, then it's your turn, George. Rank 1 in the fellowship, George Misato.
Yeah. I've been working on proof of personhood for a long time now. Fortunately, recently, kind of recently, we made public some aspects of the mechanism. We made public the people palette and also some adjacent work, things that make it safe, secure, whatever, like the origin restriction palette. But the core, this is interesting, but the most interesting stuff about proof of personhood is still private, and we're still working on it. But thinking about everything that Gav has revealed so far about proof of personhood, I think the most I can reveal is that DIM 1 is basically complete, done, with benchmarks, tests, everything seems to work, and we are in an advanced phase of testing with it. DIM 2 is almost done. We are working on various tests and benchmarking, and we're currently auditing the code to see if it is indeed, secure. And as far as the other things that we are planning, there's not much more I can reveal right now. But yeah, overall things are going well, I would say. And soon, I think the whole thing will be revealed, and I'm quite optimistic about it. It is going to be a nice feature for the ecosystem.
Sounds pretty exciting. Any since you're saying it's basically done at an advanced phase of testing, is it when do you think Gavin wants to present it?
I don't know exactly. So he went on various interviews, and he revealed bits and pieces of it, let's say. But there hasn't been like a full-scale breakdown of the whole mechanism, and I don't expect one, in the immediate future. Obviously, it's best to ask him about it. But I'm not. I don't know. Basically, I don't know exactly. I wouldn't want to mislead you, so I will say I don't know.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, what I see from the calendar is the next Web3 summit is in 1 month, starting Wednesday, and the Tuesday before we're gonna have a fellowship call. So yeah, but I'm just speculating.
Maybe
okay. I don't want to put you in the spot. Take it.
So, like for this fellowship call, like there we need to see, because like there will probably be like a fellowship meeting in Berlin. Maybe I saw that now, but I think Anina, she wanted to talk about it today or something like that. So yeah, maybe we can use that opportunity, and maybe we do live session or something like that.
That would be awesome. Jay, are you gonna be there at the Web3 Summit? Yes. Okay, then let's use that opportunity and do something. Awesome. Okay, good. We have a plan. So yeah, then I would say thank you, George, for your latest insights. And I think now we got everyone. I see no more hands. I don't see any people that joined the call. So we're good. I gave our call log for today to ChatGPT, asked it to summarize what we have. And it informed me that the 500 millisecond blocks are basically ready, which is a very good thing. Good to know. And it's going to be in the next runtime patch. And other than that, yeah, we're looking forward to the hub migration, which is coming to Kusama on the target date of 15th of August, which is just 2 months. Just 2 months from today. So that is basically the 2 fellowships calls from today. And if that is true, that would be really awesome. And then Polkadot mid-September, that sounds so close. Incredibly close. Yeah, really cool. And then there was a lot of very deep discussions today. So this is going to take me quite a bit to summarize everything. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Thank you, everyone, for spending your time, sharing your insights, also informing each other. It was a really great call. So I wish all of you a good month, and we see each other next month in person. And until then, have a good month. Goodbye.